Definition of classical sculpture is essentially you don't need the head.
You should have it subsequent to all being knocked off.
It was discovered, yeah.
They didn't have any choice. What is the class exactly?
It's life-size figure, and the pose is derived from a Renee Dykstra photograph. It's beach portraits. And the models here all day long. There's occasionally we have slides and discussion. And the model alternated between, like the first week she was wearing a two-piece bathing suit. And at that point, people began to decide on what state of dress they were going to work in. And as you see.
And what's the slide flip about?
Giles, explain yourself.
I went for a lunch and came back with this idea, and it's personal for me because I had a surgery earlier this year, and the idea of something being cut out of you is a pretty brutal phenomenon, and it's sort of the confrontation of your body suddenly saying, I'm not okay. And so I wanted to have something said about that, and that was, my first idea was to make a hole through, but that seemed too much like a bullet, which didn't seem right.
More
so
like
this
a
was my
bullet?
second idea, which I went with.
It's striking to me that, it's 2024 and the students had so little use for modern dress. And they came up with, like 4 different kinds of kind of magical realism.
Wait, say that again?
That instead of hewing closely to the model, they each did something synthetic and imaginary.
Here.
Yeah.
But was she modeling nude?
Yeah. And alternating clothes and nude, and so all the options were open. And for one thing, people are unwilling to interfere with the body once they've modeled it. They don't want to give up. They don't want to cover something they've done. Yeah, it's an investment.
So you went, you started with a nude and then
Yeah.
just covered her.
And so I was reluctant to I'd done all this work on underneath the breast, and I had to put more clay on, and it was painful. But then
Dangerous.
Yeah, I think yes.
But the head definitely sets up, when you look at it, the perception of the whole figure, I think.
Yeah,
So whatever's in this head is a kind of sadness and tenderness.
You felt like it just kind of.
It's also in the model, or maybe that could be in the body, but that could be my perception.
You think the sadness pervades the whole body, or just?
What?
You think the sadness just pervades the whole
Yeah.
body?
Right. I just think whatever you're experiencing is, regardless of what you do, informs the work, knowingly or not.
I encourage people to really consider the kind of narrative that was inherent in the pose or in their treatment of it, and something that came out in their treatment, and then to basically ask each feature of modeling to contribute to that, to agree and point it, emphasize it, carry it through. But this one really seems to locate the other person, to locate the viewer, and it's if it locates someone else in the room, a fictive person who's engaged with it.
But I feel like clay is the medium for painters who want to do sculpture. I noticed that because there's this kind of sensual feeling.
I've done stuff with clay, but nothing. It's too slow.
But even if you don't do stuff in clay, do you consider that you are figural? That your work is figural?
Generally speaking, I don't see how you can avoid the figural making sculpture. Even if it's Carl Andre, I mean, regardless, there's some psychological aspect about the form that refers to the person who made it. And, you know, but I think if you're putting yourself into the work, that goes into the work. I mean, that's what's really interesting about work, is that whatever you've made here, it is a reflection of you, much more than the model.
So would you have cut the head off?
No, I was just curious. Looking at this, actually.
Yes, yes. They're very different. I see that.
I was curious if you were tempted
Tempted
to do that.
to cut it off.
Figural.
The desire was there, absolutely. But I fulfilled that by working on these two pieces rather than changing that.
It's like it's got everything and without having features. It has gaze, set in the mouth, pitch in the chin.
It's a beautiful head.
Skeletal structure. Sits the neck just
So the body-
the neck and the body just
What happens to these?
We'll remove the heads tonight. The armature is made such a way that you just slice it and they lift off, so they'll get fired. But the rest of the figure, you know, built around the steel as it is, it's really, I mean, we've attempted it before. It's really hard to pull any good fragments. As I just said, I wish for each of you, you know, to attain this rapture state where you really, like, you don't hear anything, you don't see anything else. Everything's traveling between your fingers and your head.